Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101, and today we're going to talk about that the stimulus package, the second stimulus package, actually got passed last night. So Congress on Monday night passed an economic relief package that will provide a round of $600 instead of your $1,200 of indirect payments to most Americans and partially restore the enhanced federal unemployment benefit, offering $300 for 11 weeks. The agreement also contained provisions related to student loans, rental assistance, and medical bills. So let's break this stimulus package down. I know there are going to be a lot of Americans that fit inside each category. So households will receive $600 for each adult and $600 for each dependent. So that is a decrease of $600 per adult by $1,200 that you were going to get according to the first CARES package, the HEROES Act, that you were receiving. They reduced that by $600. They also increased each individual dependent by $100. So again, each adult in the household, whether you be single or married, will receive $600. Your dependents up to 3 will receive $600, okay? So that's in the first round. Mixed status household, where some people are ineligible, non-citizens, will get payments based on the number of eligible people in the household as opposed to being shut out as they were in the first round. The payments will be based on income from 2019. Again, the payments will be based on income from 2019 and begin phasing out for individuals with adjusted gross income over $75,000 and married couples over $150,000. So if you make over $75,000, you're not going to get it. If you're married, if you make over $150,000, you're not going to get it. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin on Monday night, as first electronic payments could reach banks by the beginning of next week. So they just passed it last night. So they're talking about some of the first earlier payments by direct deposit should be hitting people's bank account by next week, okay? So we got the Christmas, I don't get it. Now, what about the jobless aid, unemployment, okay? Workers will be eligible for a $300 a week federal unemployment payment. As with the prior aid package enacted in March, gig workers, those gig workers out there, and others who don't ordinarily qualify for benefits will be eligible for the jobless aid. The money is available through March 14th. Again, this money is available through March 14th. The legislation would also extend to 50 weeks, the amount of time for which workers may claim benefits through both state and federal programs. Most states typically provide 26 weeks of jobless benefits, but this is going to actually be 50 weeks. So that's pretty good. That's not too bad. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't like the reduction of the $600 because you're like, man, $1,200 wasn't even enough. Let alone now you're going to reduce it by, $600 because the individual payment allotment that they actually gave was $166 billion. Okay, so it wasn't even the same amount that it was before because I believe this total stimulus package was between $900 billion to $908 billion versus the first stimulus package was $2.2 trillion. So that's a large decrease in the amount of subsidy payments that they were actually giving to people in those different areas, medical, individual payments, unemployment benefits, etc. Now, the measure also provides an additional $100 a week for workers who have both wage and self-employment income, but whose basic unemployment benefits don't take into account their self-employment income. The cost of the enhanced unemployment benefits are projected at $120 billion. Now, this next section is very, very important for people who need rental assistance and also those people who are kind of like in the eviction moratorium area, okay? So this bill provides $25 billion of assistance to tenants in areas of their rent, in different areas of their rent. It also extends until the end of January 2021. So about a month. That's pretty much all it is. Now, it ends at the end of January 2021, a federal eviction prohibition, which the incoming Biden administration may extend. Okay, they may extend it again. That's kind of like the talk on the Hill that they're trying to give people more relief. So was it January 20th, I believe, when they take office, try to extend the rental assistance and also the eviction moratorium, okay? The Treasury Department will be responsible for dispersing the rental assistance to states via a formula based on population. Landlords and building owners can apply on behalf of tenants meeting the eligibility requirements. Generally, those who make less than 80% of the median income in their area have at least one person in their household who has lost a job and can demonstrate they are at risk of losing their home. That's going to be at least 30 million Americans. So hopefully they follow through with that, okay? Child care. The bill includes $10 billion in grants for child care providers and $250 million for the Head Start program. Schools. The bill provides $82 billion for public and private K through 12 schools, as well as colleges. The bulk will go to $54.3 billion fund for public schools, while $22.7 billion will go to public and private higher education, with $1.7 billion set aside for historical Black as well as tribal and Hispanic serving colleges and universities. Specifically, the bill includes $11 million for the National Technical Institute for the Deaf, $20 million for Howard University, and $11 million for Gallaudet University, which is located in Washington, D.C., which is a very, very famous deaf university. Testing and tracing. States will receive $22.4 billion for testing, tracing, and COVID-19 mitigation programs. Of this $2.5 billion will be sent as grants targeting rural areas and communities of color. So basically, Black and Hispanic communities, basically. Vaccines. States and federal agencies will receive funding for vaccine distribution. About $20 billion will go to the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, or BARDA, for procuring vaccines and therapeutics. Nearly $9 billion will go to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and states for further distribution of vaccine, and $3 billion is designated for the national stockpile. Included in those sums is $300 million that is directed to go to high-risk areas and to communities of color. Once again, airlines. Tens of thousands of airline employees will get their job back, at least for a few months, under the new bill, which includes $15 billion to cover airline salaries and benefits through the end of March. The bill also includes $1 billion for airline contract payrolls. Now, this is very significant. If you guys are thinking about traveling, maybe for business or family, because people are still traveling during COVID-19, look for airline prices to rise, okay? Airline prices to rise, because this new money coming in, they want to tap into some of this new money, so they're going to actually increase airline, okay? So watch out for that, because airlines received $25 billion under the CARES Act in the spring to cover workers' pay and benefits. An exchange agreed not to lay off or furlough employees until October 1st. As soon as October 1st hit, they started laying off people. As the date neared without much improvement in their outlook, carriers and labor unions warned that job cuts will be coming and pleaded for another round of aid. Banks. The bill will provide $12 billion in support to small lenders focused on low income and, I hate when they use these words, people of color, majority communities. I'm going to say majority communities, but resting minority-owned banks and firms known as community financial development institutions. Entertainment venues. The bill has $15 billion for independent movie theaters, live entertainment venues, and cultural institutions. Farms. The U.S. agriculture sector is set for another multi-billion-dollar injection in the new relief bill, which directs about $12 billion to crop farmers, cattle ranchers, and rural communities. The new aid will come on top of roughly $46 billion that the U.S. Department of Agriculture projects the federal government will direct pay to the nation's farmers this year. That sum includes a previous COVID-19 relief for farmers who had to plow up fields of produce ordinarily destined for restaurants, as well as hog producers who had to euthanize livestock because of pandemic-driven shutdowns at meat packing plants. Rail and transit. The bill would also provide $1 billion in relief funds to Amtrak aimed at helping the National Passenger Railroad avoid further layoffs and furloughs of its workers. Amtrak receives a regular operating subsidy around $2 billion a year from the federal government, but its ticket revenue was devastated by the pandemic and lockdown orders. Ridership on some routes fell by more than 90%. The company said it would need a total of $4.9 billion in relief aid to get through the remainder of the year without deeper worker and service cuts. The bill also set aside $14 billion for transit systems, many of which are considering major cuts in service and layoff. In New York City alone, elected officials say they need an immediate $4.5 billion infusion to stave off severe reduction in subway and bus services. Now, this also, because my brother works in DC in the transit system, and he said they're about to lay off 30,000 people in the metro. So not just New York, a lot of major northeast cities need this relief as well. The bill also sets aside $2 billion for the bus industry and $10 billion for state highways. Now you got small businesses, which is very, very important, right? $325 billion allotted to help small businesses include $284 billion for the first and second forgivable Paycheck Protection Program loans and expand eligibility for local newspapers and TV and radio broadcasters. This bill also includes $20 billion for economic injury disaster loans. Businesses say that they'll receive the PPP loan will be able to take tax deduction for the expense covered by forgivable loans. Overcoming objections from Steve Mnuchin, the provision would save businesses around $200 billion, according to an estimate from Adam Looney of the Brookings Institute. But it doesn't count as part of the overall cost of legislation. They have relief for the U.S. Postal Service. I'm going to skip that one. But taxes, okay, aside from the PPP break, the bill would extend a tax credit for struggling employers who kept workers on the payroll, and it will let recipients of certain tax credits qualify based on their 2019 incomes, okay? In some cases, lower 2020 incomes could reduce their eligibility. The bill will also temporarily extend tax breaks for renewable energy, including incentives for wind energy and carbon capture. It also includes deduction for business meals, a provision that President Donald Trump backed to face criticism from Democrats as a subsidy for 3 Marshall lunches and indoor dinner during a pandemic. This is ridiculous. Lower excise tax on beer, wine, and spirits that were set to expire December 31st. People are still buying liquor. I don't know why they even put this in here. Will be permanently extended in tax incentives for investing in low-income areas and hiring workers for disadvantaged groups will be extended for 5 years. Now, a lot of this information, like this last one, was totally ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. I understand the pertinence of this information, but again, we need to understand what I started off with, that they reduced the indirect monetary payments of the stimulus by $600. So during the March-April timeframe of the $1,200 got each individual person in a household married $2,400 and then $500 for each dependent. That has been reduced for the adults in the relationship or the single person by $600, okay? Because individuals if you make over $75,000, you're not getting it as a single individual. If you are married and you make over $150,000, you're not getting it, okay? But if you make under those thresholds, you're going to get $600 as an individual payment, and you're only going to get $1,200 if you're married with no kids. And of course, now, if you have up to 3 dependents in your household, they did increase the individual payments for your dependents by $100. So instead of the $500, you're going to get the $600. Okay. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's your stimulus update. They actually passed the bill, but they have greatly reduced the amount of money that you guys are going to be receiving as a single or married group. The only benefits I see coming next year if the Biden administration actually extends some of these benefits and also the eviction moratorium and actually either maintain or increase the unemployment benefits. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. And hopefully this helps out a lot of Americans, but the reduction by $600 is absolutely ridiculous. In some other words, preposterous. Have a great day.